everyone, and welcome again to Success with Ces. Today I'm with Robinson Arteaga, a counselor specializing in couples therapy. For those of you out there in the internet world, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave some comments. Robinson, welcome to the show.
Sure, pleasure to be here.
I've known Robinson for a little while through a good friend of mine, Natalia Castillo-Ware, and Robinson does some speaking engagements with some of the groups that Natalia sponsors. And tell the audience a little bit about your practice, how long you've been in this field, and then we'll get into the meat, the nuts and bolts of the interview.
Sure, my name is Rob Arteaga, and I've been working in mental health for about 14 years now, specializing with couples for about, about 8 to 9 years now. And I also work with Spanish-speaking couples.
Okay. All right. His office is right here off of the Katy Freeway near Derry Ashford, servicing the Energy Corridor, Memorial City area, and I guess your patients come from all over the city.
Oh yeah, all over the city, and I get folks from Louisiana, from everywhere. So yes, I work with everybody local and whoever wants to come in from outside.
Okay, well, great. I've been a proponent of counseling for a long time. I believe that in my personal view and my personal life that counselors have really helped me through some troubling relationships, my own personal struggles and things of that nature. Tell the audience a little bit about how you work with clients, how you dig into the issues going on, and kind of how that process works.
Sure, to make it like a little bit more of a simplified way to explain it is I look for patterns. I look for emotional patterns, I look for behavioral patterns, family dynamics, and the way that I see my goal with folks is to help them create peace. The more peace that the person has, the less that the counselor has to say, you got to do this or you got to do that. People find their own way when they can have peace. And so that's my main role that I see when working with folks.
Right. I see that a lot with my counselor, was not necessarily with her telling me what to do, but for me to resolve my own issues.
Yes, and it can be a tricky thing because sometimes people will ask you directly to what's right or what's wrong. And so there are some times, of course, when one can interfere and say, well, this is what would be right or wrong, but that happens rarely. Most of the time, it's more of identifying your values, creating that peace, finding what is interfering for one to have that peace, and that's kind of my goal. Look for those patterns, try and help remove those patterns, and help people just find themselves and find their way.
Right. It's one of the things that I've noticed over the years in with my friends and people that have shared some of their insights is that by going to counseling, they feel like the counselor may take sides with one principle of the couple. How do you avoid that situation?
Well, at the beginning, I kind of start telling them that it's usually kind of a bit of a 50-50, or there's some kind of fault that both people have in a relationship in terms of what has gotten them there. So sometimes I do have to tell one, well, this is a little bit more on your part than the other, but that rarely happens. Usually there's blame to share. To me, one of the things that I do also stress is that it's not important for me to focus on who's to blame, but let's focus on how we fix it. And so that's kind of one of my focuses. It's not very useful or valuable.
Yeah, exactly. In business, in the real estate business and things, we get into kind of disputes from time to time. And what we like to say is there's always three sides to the story: his side, her side, and the truth.
Right. Right.
Well, how long have you been out here on this part of the Houston?
Oh, I've been here since my professional career. I've always spent it in this side, and so since I started my private practice, I've always started here. And the reason why I started on this side was because I used to teach, and the school district that I teach at was on this side, so it just kind of made it convenient at the beginning, and I stayed.
Okay. Well, once again, I'm here with Rob Arteaga, and we are talking about counseling and various issues. You know, the pandemic. I mean, it's brought some people closer together because we've been forced to be together, and maybe it's gotten some people, kind of realizing. They've got issues in their relationships. What have you seen?
Well, before the pandemic, one of the phenomenons that I would notice is that, especially like around holiday times, I used to get an increase in calls. And so my theory was that if we were in the regular routine of things like work or taking care of kids or whatever, it's kind of like a distraction from having to face the problems. So in those holiday times, it was like there was no other way but to face the problems that we had. And so when we were shut down, I think it forced us all to kind of have to face some of these issues. And yeah, I've been working nonstop since then.
Yeah, in my own personal situation, it's been a strong and healthy relationship, and spending all that time in close quarters was no problem for us, and we've been great communicators. What are some of the tips you provide as far as for couples or for individuals in their communication with whoever it may be, in a personal relationship or a work relationship?
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, you guys work together too, is that right?
My wife and I do not necessarily work together. I mean, we spend a lot of time together, and she helps me on with the photography side
Okay.
of my business, and I certainly support her with her photography. I send her all kinds of clients and referrals and
Sure,
things
sure.
too. So we don't necessarily share office space or anything like that. But we are very good communicators, and I think for me, it always starts with listening.
Yes, and so for me, to answer the question, I would say that it's important to kind of know ourselves and know what it is that we can and cannot accept from our partners. And so when it comes to couples and working together, for example, it's real important to know if we can do it or not, because it's not for everybody. My wife and I, for example, have talked about that we could not work together just because we like having that space, so that we can kind of miss each other and want to come home and see each other
Yes.
versus spending that time all day. And so
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to telling couples how to communicate, it's important to know yourself. And when we know ourselves, it's easier to prepare because there's going to be some roadblocks to our personality that will prevent us from communicating and sending the right messages that I like to kind of smooth out so that the communication and relationship can improve.
Right, right. What are some of maybe the current books that you would refer, an individual or maybe a couple to refer to? Like one of the books that helped me out with communication a long time ago from the 90s was a book by Dr. Tony Alessandra called The Platinum Rule, where the communication was generally directed to the other person. Golden rule being treat others the way you would like to be treated, but the platinum rule, Dr. Tony Alessandra's book, is treat others the way they want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, kind of a brainstorm for me in understanding communication, and it really helped me out in my business communication and in my communication with my wife and friends.
Yeah, so I think that a couple of the books that I refer to is The Five Love Languages, which is a very short, very clear book that offers a lot of useful information in terms of our
The
relationship.
Five Love Languages.
Five Love Languages.
Okay.
And another one of those is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, which are both kind of books from the 90s.
Okay.
But those are two that I go to. And the other one for trauma type of related issues is Bad Childhood, Good Life.
Okay. And another one that comes to mind is The Four Agreements.
Yes, another popular one.
Yeah, The
Yes,
Four Agreements is good. I've kind of skimmed through that one. Truth be told, it was given to me as a gift, and I've kind of skimmed through it. And I might take a look at it on my next vacation and just get through it. But anyway, once again, Rob, tell the audience how to get a hold of you, your address, and maybe where to find you on the social network.
Sure. Folks can probably find me with the hashtag Curando Amores. And they can find me directly at my phone number, 832-549-0082. They can call or text there. And they can also just go to my website, curandoamores.com. And that's where they'll find most of the information they need. They'll find me through the hashtag on YouTube, on Facebook primarily, is where I have most of the content. And I have a lot of interviews that I've uploaded there with various outlets like Telemundo, Univision, that kind of thing.
Curando Amores, for those of you that may not speak Spanish, means
healing love.
Healing love. Awesome. So if you have a New Year's resolution to strengthen your relationships, give Rob a call. Come see him here off the Katy Freeway, and be sure to check in. Again, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and check back frequently for our next interview coming up soon. Thanks again. All right.
Sure.
All right.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, likewise. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.